FM 88.1 WHPR. This is a rerun Detroit boxing show. I got a special guest in. First of all, I'm your host, Mr. Layback Corey. My co-host Star, she couldn't be in right now. My other co-host B-Boy is at home recovering, so I hope to hear from you soon. But we got a special guest. This guy been around boxing for a long time. We're going to get into some good things he have going on. My man Mouchettee, what's up, man?
Man, sky's the limit, dear brother. How you be?
How you doing, Mr.?
It's a pleasure being on your show, dear brother.
How you doing today?
I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
Oh, okay. So, for the people out there that's watching this episode, man, what made you get in the realm of boxing?
I was about 10 years old, and I was in Goatee Kung Fu. Mm-hmm. And me and my brother used to go down to Crunk all the time to play baseball. Okay. And my brother started going down there boxing while I was in Goatee Kung Fu. And my brother came to one of my Goatee Kung Fu classes, and Goatee is really kickboxing. And my brother came to one of my classes, and he looked at me. He said, "Man, quit kicking your leg like a ballet dancer and come on down to the gym." Okay. And my brother older than me, so I followed his instructions, and I went down to the gym for the first time at about 11 years old. And the smell of the gym was horrendous, but it seemed like it captured me, you know. And then the sounds of men punching the bag and speed bags and people getting hand work, and you know, it was a hot gym. It had to be about 115 degrees with 100% humidity down there, and I just fell in love, and I've been a part of it ever since.
Okay. For the people that's watching the show, the number is 313-868-0331. The call-in number is 313-868-0331. So, what gym did you start at?
Crunk. Is there any other gym in Detroit? No, I'm just kidding. Ooh. Yeah, but Crunk, with no disrespect to no other gym, but yeah, Crunk is my home. Emmanuel Stewart was my godfather. May Allah be pleased with him. And Crunk, brother, right there on Martin and McGraw.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. So what year did you start coaching?
I started coaching around, it had to be 2007, maybe 2007, 2008. I started coaching. I ended up coming back to the gym. I was obviously, everybody know me. I'm in the Nation of Islam. I'm a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I was doing a lot of ministry work there. Then just something drew me back to the gym. I was going through a few things, and then my mind said, let me get back in the gym. And I got back into Crunk around that time, and I noticed that the amateur program needed a lot of help. It wasn't like it was when I was an amateur. So that's what we did, brother. We got back, my brother, myself, my brother Richard Bibbs, and myself and another brother by the name of Tariq Fikes. We said we're going to revamp the amateur program, and we got back in, and that's what we started doing, working with the amateurs and throwing amateur shows, and next thing you know, my feet was back wet in boxing, not as a fighter, but now as a coach.
Okay. So you said Louis Farrakhan. You know, he came here this last.
I was there. Yes, sir.
I see you was there.
Yes, sir.
How was it?
Oh my goodness, man! Whenever you get an opportunity to hear a divine man and get a divine message, you don't come away the same. You know, when you get a word like that kind of word transforms not only your mind, but it transforms your body. So, yeah, it was a wonderful thing. We have our Savior's Day convention every year. Okay. And this year was here in Detroit, and by God's grace, next year it'll be here as well.
Okay. So tell us about give us a little brief, when did the Nation of Islam start?
Started in 1930.
Okay, who was discovered by?
It wasn't discovered. It was started by a man by the name of Wallace Fard Mohammed. We affectionately know him as Master Fard Mohammed. He started the Nation of Islam. He came to North America by himself from the holy city of Mecca. He began to teach right here in the city of Detroit in Black Bottom.
Really?
He was knocking on doors right in the city of Detroit selling silks. And as he was selling silks, obviously he was a man who almost looked white. And of course, our people during that particular time, we know we're brainwashed, and for some reason or another, we highly respect white folks. But he wasn't white; he was a black man. And he began to teach our people the lost knowledge of themselves. And as he began to teach our people the lost knowledge of themselves, he began to grow the Nation of Islam. And then ultimately, he found who he was looking for right there in Black Bottom. Actually, it was in Hamtramck. He was teaching in Hamtramck, and that's when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came in contact with him, and the rest is history.
Oh, okay. That's got to be amazing, man, to see all you guys come together. Because I never knew what the Nation of Islam was about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I only been to the mosque one time.
Okay.
That was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's great how you guys sit together. It's like a unity. So
Yeah.
Together.
Mm-hmm.
It's every time I see my favorite Louis Farrakhan. Well, he did an interview with Mike Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
He told Mike Wallace up, man.
Yeah.
He told him up, man. Mike Wallace needed that, though, because he was out of pocket.
Well, Mike Wallace has a history with the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
He did back in the 60s, he produced a show entitled it The Hate That the Hate Produced. And it was when the Nation of Islam was a budding Nation of Islam, a little small budding nation. He put together a documentary. It's in black and white. You can see it on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and watch it. It's called The Hate That Hate Produced. And he pretty much was trying to slant the Nation of Islam as being a hate group at that particular time. So Mike Wallace got a deep history with the Nation of Islam. That wasn't the only interview that he did with members of the Nation of Islam. Mike Wallace did an interview with Malcolm X. Obviously did a few interviews with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So, yeah, but that particular one that everybody loved, that was more modern, when the minister kind of whooped on him, and let him, told him he should be quiet.
Right. Now, you started coaching. Mm-hmm. I know you say you started boxing at Crown.
Yes, sir.
But you started coaching at hands-on boxing.
No, actually, I started coaching at Crunk. I started coaching at Crunk under about 2007, 2008.
Okay.
Under my godfather, Emmanuel Stewart.
Okay.
We started working with the amateur boxing team down at Crunk. And but by the time it was probably around 2018, 19, where I was called by a friend of mine who owns the building at Hands On Boxing by the name of brother. His name is Farouk. He called me and he said, I got a gym, and man, I want you, can you come and work? And so I told him I would, and we started working at Hands On Boxing. Myself and Coach KK, or Khalil Harvey, we started working there, and we built that Hands On Boxing to be a powerhouse amateur boxing team. It was a powerhouse not only in Michigan but throughout the country. And we had numerous national champions: Golden Glove, Silver Gloves, Junior Olympics, so on and so forth. So we built a powerhouse over there. Now, currently, I'm in the process of opening up my own gym. It'll be on Michigan and Wyoming. Team Wellness. I'm working with Team Wellness. Soon we should be open, probably in about 3 weeks. We're waiting on our ring to come. We're getting everything. We're doing the cosmetic work on it. We have a 32,000 square foot building that we're working out of, and soon you'll see Team Wellness. Actually, the name of the boxing team, I think I got Coach Khalil Harvey. He's going to be my head coach over there. I got him. I put him in the head coach position. I think he want to name the team Soul Search. So if that's the name of the team, that's the name he wants, and you'll be hearing about it soon.
Okay, you said it's in the next 3 weeks, correct?
Yeah, next 3 weeks we should be open. We got people over there working as we speak.
Okay. You figure out when you ain't got to give us the size ring, but the ring is.
Well, our ring, the ring that we got, it's a 20 by 20. Okay. It's a nice size ring. It's gonna be a state of the art gym. Matter of fact, and then if you're interested in getting your children to be a part of a program that helps to discipline your child, bring them on over. Bring them over. You doesn't cost you a dime. We know a lot of gyms out here are charging parents for coaches are charging parents to train the children. We say no, just bring your child. Bring your child. We'll take them in and we'll train your child. And then we got it where eventually we can have people, grown people can come and work out as well.
So is it free for the kids or
free for the children? Yes, sir.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
By what age? Like 8?
You can start them at 5, man. We can start them at 5.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now for the adults, they got to pay a membership.
No, you ain't got no membership. I ain't charging nobody.
Oh, okay.
No, I ain't charging nobody. Now, if you want personal training, then that's up to my coaches if they want to do personal training. But we're going to have classes, and I'm going to have a couple of PT trainers there, personal training coaches there. And if you want to work specifically and have some individual training, then you can work that out with them. But generally, everything is going to be free.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That's better than what the recreation is.
Yeah. No, I think we're gonna kind of hurt a few people, but at the end of the day, man, I think our people need it. With Team Wellness, it's a program that I'm involved in. 501c3. Right? Not only mental health, but it's everything that you need. If you got dental, mental health, physical. We're gonna even have culinary arts in this building. We're gonna have if your child suffers from, or anybody that suffers from any kind of mental illness, whether it be paranoid schizophrenia, whether it be depression, clinical depression, if you have children that suffer from ADHD, or you have people who suffer from other mental illnesses, then come. We can get you some help. We can get you the help that you need.
And that's free of charge too, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can't wait till that open. That's very beneficial.
Yeah, we're working on it.
That's very beneficial. How many coaches you gonna have over there? I know Mr. KK is gonna be the head coach.
Yeah, we're gonna have Coach K over there. My brother will be coming, the one who got me involved in boxing. He's coming in June. Mm-hmm. I got Jafar. Got Coach Jafar. He's coming. Jafar, he's coming. We'll probably end up, we're going to grow. We'll probably start off about 3 coaches, including myself. And, we're going to build a powerhouse. Trust me on this one.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. I can't wait to see the wellness. Yeah. Especially the wellness part, because a lot of people do need help in those areas. I know I was diagnosed with ADD and myself. So that's very beneficial, and it helps out a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of great. You're doing it right there on Michigan, Wyoming. It's right there in the neighborhood.
Facts. It's right there, busy street. It's right there it's on the border of Dearborn and Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get in that area, it's kind of busy. It's right there by 94. You see if you're coming south on Wyoming, once you cross McGraw, you'll make a left on Michigan, and then the first street you'll get to, which is, I think it's called Stecker, something like that. You'll make a right there, and you'll see it. We'll end up having all of the paraphernalia on the building and so on and so forth. We're getting that painted on as well.
So how many hours are you guys gonna be open?
Well, one thing about us as trainers and boxers, man, we'll be there all night. It's almost like being a rapper in the studio. They'll be there all night long. So, yeah, but we're gonna break down the hours once we get started. We'll see which hours are more busy, and then we'll tailor it around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta stop by there and visit some.
Man, come on, man. It's please open to you, dear brother.
Stop by and visit. I ain't seen you in a long time, man. When I see you, I had to get you on here. I'm glad you came.
Oh man, well boxing right now is it's an interesting sport right now too.
Yeah. So what you think about Detroit boxing overall?
Well, I mean, as far as history, or are you talking about current?
Current.
You know what, brother? I don't have any in too much praise for current professional fighters
Okay.
in the city of Detroit. With all due respect, I mean, Tony Harrison is my nephew. I love him to life. He got a beautiful boxing program going on over on Puritan in Wyoming, in that area. His gym, he's doing a hell of a job. He has a lot of young fighters over there.
Shout out to Superbad.
So shout out to Superbad. He's doing a hell of a job. I think Hands On now has a couple of coaches over there trying to work with some young fighters. But overall, I mean, you have a few other gyms in the city of Detroit, but when it comes to professional boxing, brother, I have no praise to give right now.
That's understandable.
It's unfortunate, but I have no praise to give.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for a new breed.
And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to produce a new crop of fighters coming up out of Detroit. You know, because one thing about Detroit, man, when you get fighters, or particularly kids who are interested in boxing, it's something about the genetics here in the city of Detroit that we produce animals, man. We produce animals, and whatever Detroit gets involved in, we seem to be like cream. We rise to the top. Whether it be it in boxing, whether it be it in hip-hop, whether it be it in jazz, whether it be it in soul music, gospel, whatever Detroit gets involved in and puts his heart, we like cream, we rise to the top.
So what does it take? What does it take to be an amazing coach? Like, what does it take?
Commitment.
Commitment. Okay.
Commitment. See, one thing about it, man, you got some people who want to be, you got individuals who want to coach and they never boxed before, right? You got individuals who think they know boxing. See, there's a terminology in boxing that we use. It's called the science of boxing.
Okay.
Science is something that needs to be studied. Science is something that needs to be proven. And if you don't know the subtleties of boxing, you can get a fighter hurt. It ain't about getting in. It ain't about... See, one thing about being a coach, you got to constantly be a student of the game. Mm-hmm. You know, yesterday's keys don't work in today's locks. You got to be willing to change with the times.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, absolutely. Yesterday's keys don't work in today's locks. You got to be willing to change with the times. You know, it's almost like if you were a hip hop artist going in the studio and you say, you know what, man, I'm working with an 808. Yeah, that's cool, but bruh, you don't need an 808 in 2024. You know what I mean? So, you know, we have to move up to modern time.
That is true. That is true. Do you think a coach has to take a sacrifice with the fighter?
Well, just the biggest sacrifice you put in on anything you do is time, because that's something you can't get back. Mm-hmm. So if you're putting your time in with the fighter, then it makes no sense to waste your time, because you're not going to get it back. So you may as well maximize every moment, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month that you put in with that fighter. You should be putting it in as a committed trainer to produce the best fighter that you can produce. And understand that as a coach, you're not only just a coach in boxing. When you're dealing with a person that you're training to go to combat, you got to be a father, you got to be a psychologist, you got to be a psychiatrist, you got to be a nutritionist, you got to be a personal trainer, coach. You got to wear a multitude of hats to get this fighter ready to go to combat. And you got to develop in that fighter trust. If you don't have any trust, then you'll send that fighter out there and that fighter ain't paying you no attention and go out there and get hurt. Remember, you play all these other sports. You play basketball, you play football, you play baseball, you play hockey. You don't play boxing. Because you get in there and play boxing, you can get hurt. So it takes a commitment.
Yeah. So what fighter do you see today that you like, he's the one?
Just as far as overall fighting?
Overall, yes.
Shakur Stevenson.
Shakur?
Shakur Stevenson, if The problem with boxing right now, because you got a lot of talent in boxing right now, and you got a lot of fighters that people don't know, but those of us who are in the boxing community, we do know. What's happening in boxing right now, and Shakur is really a shining star that's being blocked. It's almost like, you know how when the sun and the moon cross and they call it an eclipse?
Yes.
He's being eclipsed by these promoters. When you look at the Bob Arums of the world, you look at the Al Haymans of the world, you look at the Eddie Hearns of the world, they're not giving, because this financial thing, they're not giving fight fans what they want. You know what I mean? Back in the 70s, good fighters fought one another. Back in the 70s, you know, if you had a Muhammad Ali fighting a Joe Frazier, but then a Joe Frazier goes and get beat by a George Foreman, but then Muhammad Ali comes and beat a George Foreman, but then George Foreman goes and crush Joe Frazier again, but at the same time, the elite fighters, the Ken Nortons of the world, you know, when you're talking about We Could Run the Roll, Ronnie Lyles, these fighters back then, they fought one another. In the 80s, you know, where they call it the Four Kings era, whether we like it or not, fighters were fighting each other. In this era, money done got so involved that we don't get an opportunity to see the big fights until it's damn near too late.
Taking what, too late in age, or?
That too. Think about it. When did you see Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao? Was it during both of their primes, or was it at the tail end of their careers?
The tail end.
Exactly. Right. Even though it was a huge fight, yes. Broke box office records, but we didn't get what we knew we could have gotten if they'd have fought 7 years earlier. Now, of course, the big fight that we just seen last July, with Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence, that big fight was our big fight, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard. That was this era's Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard. What happened in that fight was something everybody didn't expect. Nobody expected Terrence Crawford to dominate Earl Spence the way he did. However, when you look at the back end, when you look at the money, the pot, when it comes to pay-per-view buys, brother, they didn't get a lot of pay-per-view buys. You know why? Because today people got fire sticks, man. You don't have to pay for fights. You can steal a damn fight. So what does that do? That hurts the bottom line. It hurts the bottom line. And so the promoters look at the ultimate numbers and say, damn, where's this? This is a huge fight. Everybody's clamoring for it. But what's killing it is these people with these fire sticks. And they're stealing the fight. And when you steal the fight, the promoters are coming up short when it comes to paying the fighters, or the promoters don't make the profit that they could have made if fire sticks did not exist. So what's happening now is that the promoters don't have the money to pay the fighters. So what are they doing? Promoters are now going with their hat in their hands to Saudi Arabia, and they're asking the Saudis to pay for these fights, because they don't have the money to do so.
Have you ever thought about coming to promote it?
You know what, dear brother? I've had the opportunity in many instances where I've gotten phone calls where people have asked me to become a promoter. Here in the city of Detroit, you have two promoters here in the city of Detroit. You have Salito, and you have Clips, Limas, Clips Promotion.
Okay.
Carlos Lime. Those are the two promoters. They kind of be bumping heads. Thing they do here, you know, they have these fighters paying for their own, you know, they got to sell their own tickets. Yeah, sell your own tickets. We ain't never had to do that back in the day.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I don't like it. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to get the best of that fighter. If that fighter has to worry about putting asses in seats because the promotion can't push that fight, then you're not going to get that fighter at 100%. You want that fighter to be focused on fighting, not selling tickets. You know, so promotion. If you don't have a major financial backer behind you that can put the money up, you know, and then oft times when it comes to if you want to groom a young fighter, when you groom these fighters, you got to put tomato cans in front of them early. You got to put cab drivers in front of them. They fighting tomato cans and cab drivers. So you pad their record. You go and fly somebody in who's coming in to take a dive, so to speak, or coming in to take an ass whooping, so to speak. And then you look up and you done padded this fighter with 15 bombs. And then you throw him in there with a real fighter. And he don't look like he looked when he was beating on these bombs, when he was beating on these tomato cans. You know, so what I'm not seeing is the grooming properly.
Oh, we got a caller. Caller, you on the air?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
I was listening to your show, and I wanted to comment about the fighters. The fighters in the 70s, they normally stayed in whatever they bracket was when they became champions. You had better fights because the champion stayed there, and the opportunity for those that's in the top 10 got a chance to fight for the title. In the 80s, Tommy changed the whole dynamic by being a kid that's 147 pounds who eventually grew and ended up winning more and more and more titles, where people started looking at it like, oh man, that's a great thing to do. It's not always a great thing to do to move up and fight the next weight. If you can stay in that weight class and be a dominant, then that's what you should do. Wilfredo Gomez was one of the greatest fighters I ever seen, and he fought a friend of mine, Lupe Pinto. I happened to be at that fight in Houston, and it was one of the greatest fights I ever seen. But Gomez stayed at 122, and he racked up a lot of wins and a ton of money. So these guys, they don't want to fight. They don't want to give a person a chance. If you got a guy that's in the top, that make the top 10, then give him a shot if he deserves it. Not the champion saying, hey, listen, I don't want to fight him or fight them, but I'd rather fight you for more money. It's not boxing. That is not boxing at all.
One thing I would say is when you have young fighters entering into the professional ranks of boxing, oftentimes those young fighters, like for instance, when we take a look at Sean Porter was fighting an amateur at 165 pounds. The reason why Sean Porter was fighting an amateur at such a heavy weight is because in national tournaments, an amateur, you have to weigh in every fight. So not having to lose all that weight every night in and night out and starving yourself and putting major damage on your body, then you leave him at the weight that he is and let him fight there. But when you turn pro, you got 6 to 8 weeks to make the weight. So when he turned pro, he dropped all the way from 65 all the way down to 47. People don't know that Earl Spence, he started his professional career fighting at 154 before he went down to 147 pounds. But again,
because this is the new thing that I see at the Nationals all the time. First of all, coaches don't know what they're doing because one, they ain't never fought before, and they allow kids to train, and the kids train, and they train in shorts and t-shirts. They never lose weight.
But see, here's the thing. What you want to keep in mind is, and then when we're talking about the science of boxing, if you constantly put a child in plastic to lose weight, what you don't realize is that oftentimes that weight, that water is coming off of the brain. That could eventually show up in that child's life later on down as they get older. And then you'll find that you have a lot of fighters who begin to slur their speeches because they were putting their bodies through so much stress even at a young age. So one thing my godfather Emmanuel Stewart told me was that let the fighter fight at the weight they are when they're young so that you don't stunt their growth. Because remember, again, you have, when you turn pro, you have 8 weeks when you get up into the upper echelon of boxing. Now, when you first turn pro, you're only fighting 4 rounds. So you get a couple of tomato cans. So when you come into, you might fight at 60 in amateur. When you turn pro, you're fighting at 54. Then that slowly but surely grooms you into losing the weight. And then the coach has to see how the body responds. You got to know what the fighter's body respond to when it comes to the certain foods that you're feeding them. You got to make sure all these things become scientific. That's why, it's called the science of boxing. So when you talk about Rafael Gomez back then, we're talking smaller men who weren't going to grow anymore. Smaller men whose body had already maxed out so they can stay at that weight. But think about it. If we go back to a Sugar Ray Robinson days, Sugar Ray Robinson not only held the middleweight title, but he went up and fought for a light heavyweight title. Tommy Hearns went from welterweight all the way up to light heavyweight. We can run the roll on fighters who actually move from weight class to weight class. Let's go to Roy Jones. Roy Jones started at middleweight and he ended up fighting for the heavyweight title against John Ruiz. So it's not unusual to see fighters go from smaller weight classes up because your body begins to mature and it begins to fill out and you lose what we call that.
Later.
We lose that.
That's later on in your careers. Everybody's bodies get bigger as later on in their careers.
Absolutely.
But we're talking about, you went to weight. Listen, just like you got to learn how to box, you got to learn how to lose weight. And if you don't know how to lose weight, starting as an amateur, you can't learn how to lose weight as a pro.
Listen, I agree with you to a degree. But at the same time, dear brother, one thing again, and I'll say it again, if you are training a fighter and putting in time, you got to wear a multitude of hats. One of the hats that you got to wear when you training a fighter is a father. And one thing about a father is looking down the pike of time and into the future on what he want to make sure that there's no damage to this fighter, because that's like a son to you. You know, I trained my fighter. We fought Cornelius Locke. We were the co-main event on the Floyd Mayweather-Shane Mosley undercard. Cornelius Locke, we fought Daniel Ponce de Leon. We fought him we were the co-main event on that card. We decided to fight Daniel Ponce de Leon at 125 pounds. Now, I had to get my fighter down to 125, I had to know what put weight on my fighter, what he can eat so that he can get the proper energy without just burning it off, because when you're dealing with losing weight, you're dealing with carbohydrates, you're dealing with protein, you're dealing with the fighter's genetics, you're dealing with the fighter's energy levels. All these things got to be seen and watched when you're working with a fighter. And oftentimes these fighters don't know their body, but it's the coach's job to learn it and then get them the best help that they need so that they can be the maximum fighter when it's fight time.
Let me ask you this thing. So listen, if I got a fighter that doesn't know his body, then something is wrong with that fighter, because if he's been doing this too long, then something is wrong with that fighter, because I have seen 1,000 times that there's a difference between a coach and a trainer. And trainer does not know that fighter. But here's a coach that may have started him off, may know him better than the trainer do. But if a fighter doesn't know his body, then I'm 100% say something is wrong with that fighter.
Yeah, but we're giving way too much credit to a fighter. You know, most of these fighters, man, they stop training, they go on to hang out, and they go on to drink, you know, and all this madness. They're not living the life of a fighter. That's where the coach comes in and tries to have a relationship with him to let him know, look here, I see talent in you, and we have a future set, and we want to make sure that you reach the goals that we got set. So you got to make sure that you can at least damn near walk this fighter hand in hand to his success. But hopefully during that particular time, you all develop a respect for one another.
But the question always comes when I say the fighter knows, Do the fighter wants to do this?
And if they don't, you're wasting your time, and that's the most valuable thing to waste.
Bingo. Because I have seen fighters with talent up to wazoo.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you find out they don't want to do this. I'm going to give you one right now. And I've been knowing him since he was a kid. There was a fighter that was at Crump. Great.
Which one?
And I had a talk with him one day in the locker room.
Are you talking about Vernon?
No.
Which one?
I won't say his name because
Say his name,
he's
brother.
still my friend.
They are my nephews. Them my people.
Yep. I know. But the one fighter that I'm talking about said he don't want to do it no more.
Yeah. You lose that spirit.
And he walked away right when he was just getting ready to crack the thing, and Emmanuel got mad.
Manny got mad. Who you talking about? Because again, that's my family. Because I can tell you, everybody who was on the precipice of greatness and didn't get there. One thing about
since you say
Detroit Crunk.
I tell you, my friend Roger Moore.
Oh, Roderick, that's my man. Roderick and his little brother, and he had a little brother we used to call Little Dynamite. Yeah, Roderick is my man, who was an animal. He fought when I fought. Me and Roderick and all of us, we all fought at the same time. Roderick, Stan Longstreet, Myron Walker, myself, my brother, who else we had? Stevie McCory. I could run the roll on who all of us, man. We could run the roll, but yeah, Roderick was a beast. But again, when the politics of business gets involved, and I can tell you what happened with that. I won't go deep into it, but the politics of business got involved.
I don't need you to tell me because I was sitting in the office when it happened, but I know about it.
Yeah, when the politics of business gets involved in boxing, then you start losing a lot of talent. Detroit is a graveyard for talent of boxing. My god brother Hurley Sneed should have been a world champion. Politics of boxing. We can go to Daryl Chambers.
I won't say the politics of boxing on him because he fought for all 4 titles.
Well, Hurley again, that's my family. I know that literal, and I'm talking about that's my family for real. But I'm just throwing names up. Hurley Sneed, my brother, who was my brother. Politics of boxing. Daryl Chambers, politics of boxing. Jerry Reese, politics of boxing. Now you had the few who broke through. The Milt McCoys of the world who broke through, the Dwayne Thomases of the world.
Daryl Chambers wasn't the politics of boxing.
Daryl Chambers was politics of the streets. I know.
No, he just quit.
Well, politics of the streets, bro. DeJuan Johnson, politics of the streets.
No, he wasn't politics of the street. He just did something. He did something that he shouldn't have did.
Who, DeJuan?
In terms of his contract.
Who you talking about, DeJuan?
Yes.
Man, DeJuan got killed in the streets, bro. He got caught up in the streets.
But the politics you try to say, politics of boxing, he left due to his contract.
Well, again, Mr. Miller, who was his coach, who was my I call him Papa. Papa Miller, who was his coach, he would tell you. See, when Bill Miller was his coach, he was also James Toney's first major coach and was pushing James up the ladder. But when we're talking about if the fighters are not getting money, but they're getting a lot of fame, but there's no money behind the fame, then it lends themselves to go out into the streets. DeJuan Johnson, streets. Dwayne Thomas ended up getting killed, but, again, he got killed at a party store. But still, streets, I could run the role. When you look at great fighters that came out of Crunk, the Johnsons, brother, John Johnson, Lionel Johnson, and Joe Johnson, hell of a fighters. Marlon Walker, hell of a fighter. Stephen McCory, hell of a fighter. But again, I could run the role on our fighters. Crunk have more tragic stories than we do success stories. Problem is, but a lot of people, I can tell you, the best fighter that came out of Crunk, since you know something, dear brother, I just want to ask you your opinion and tell me what you think. Who was the best fighter that came out of under Emmanuel Stewart's Stead, not Tommy Hearns, without saying Tommy Hearns.
Jesus Christ, fuck it. My brother Bernard Mays.
He was. You hit it right on the head. Super bad. Bernard Mays was the coldest fighter, and he was the one whooping on Tommy, Mickey Goodwin, Benny Ray Trussell, Rodney Trussell.
Tommy was over at King Solomon with Greg Coverson.
With Greg Coverson, he was over there. Remember, Rodney Trussell, Benny Ray Trussell, all them guys was getting their ass handed to them in the gym by Bernard Superbad Mays. And what people don't know is that Bernard Mays used to come to the gym drunk and was just a natural fighter, gifted. But he had
I was in Ohio State Fair with Bernard Mays when he was drunk, and they had to go and get him off the bus, and Jim Ingram had to wrap his hands and put him in the ring drunk, and he ended up knocking out a white kid.
Yeah, that's Bernard. That's Bernard for you. That's Bernard for you. And you know what people don't know is that Ohio State Fair used to be one of the biggest tournaments in the country. I won the Ohio State Fair. You know, but again, Crunk, when we were in our heyday, we had the most profound team in the country, and people thought that we were training in this state-of-the-art gym. And it was a basement that was hot as hell with big cockroaches. We had 2 heavy bags, 1 ring, 2 speed bags. We had a small slither mirror that we trained on, and the floor stayed slippery wet because the humidity down there was second to none. But it was a gym that produced champions. Now, we know back in the day, you had a number of different gyms. You had King Solomon. You had Detroit Street Service. You had Powell. You had Caldwell. You had Johnson. You had Lasky. All these other gyms, but they envied the red and gold and blue. They envied the red, gold, and blue. And they still envy us, even though, you know, Emmanuel's gone, may Allah be pleased with him. Crunk is still envied by what we did in the late 70s, early 80s.
I'm quite sure of that.
I appreciate you, brother. What's your name, dear brother?
My name is Antoine Bell.
Brother Antoine. Twan.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You how you gonna sit there and talk to your brother, man, as if we don't know each other?
Well, I had to call in. You was on camera.
How you gonna talk to your brother as if you don't know? This brother here, dear brother Antoine, and I, we go back like rocking chairs. Antoine is actually one of the greatest, best officials, amateur officials. You done moved up to the pro ranks yet, Twan?
I've been in the pro ranks for years.
Okay, Twan is one of the best officials, and he's one of the more I would say fair officials. He's fair, and a lot of these officials corrupt as hell. They are. Look, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you straight with no chasing.
Man, you gonna give me cuss out?
All right, brother. Listen, man. I gotta tell you the truth, brother. A lot of these officials corrupt as hell, and it's hard to find a sincere official.
Listen. Let me clear that up. First of all, officials is not corrupt. And let me explain this. Let me explain something about officials. And this is the problem. The same thing we have a problem with coaches. It's the same problem we have with officials. We have officials who have never boxed before, who have never trained before, who have never been in the ring, just been in the ring.
I agree.
Okay? And for some odd reason, they have looked at boxing and said, hey, you know, I think I want to do that. I know an official right now who had a conversation with me some years ago and told me the story how he decided to become official by looking at boxing on TV. And he made a phone call. They told him what he had to do. He became an official, and he had no experience.
And Twan, nobody protested that? How
do you protest it when you don't know if if they take the class, if they pass the test, and you question a person and they tell you a lie and say, "Oh yeah, I used to box and everything," and then if you start asking too many questions, you'll find out that they never have.
Mm-hmm.
They are officials. Now, problem is, what made me listen. I started boxing in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
A gym they don't even have no more stuff called Boy 15.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is these officials, it's all volunteer. They travel, they pay for their own traveling. See, when I was fighting, I didn't care about the official. What I cared about was making weight and showing up to fight.
Yeah.
Years later, I decided I wanted to give something back. I wanted to give back to the younger kids. So I started volunteering, and I realized through my volunteering, I was taking time away from my wife and kids.
Yeah,
I was had to spend my own money to drive there. I had to pay for my own hotel there. When I go to the Nationals, just this last National just happened at the Olympic trials.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I spent $2,600.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for my plane fare, hotel fare, food, my car rental, everything. My wife said, "You really must like doing this to constantly keep spending this kind of money."
You know, Twan, we spent thousands going across the country with these children, having to feed them, having to house them. You know, we're talking airfare. We're talking having to, of course, doing their passbooks and I mean the whole nine. We spent thousands of dollars, which shows you our commitment.
But when you look at the officials who are, you got some good officials. You have some officials who just started.
Yeah.
But they are paying out their own pockets, and so this tournament, all your good officials come. Next tournament, all your beginning officials come.
Yes, sir.
And this is how when people say, "Oh man, you know what? Some terrible officials." So I always tell people that, hey, listen, why don't you take the class and become an official? Help us out. I talk to all my friends that used to box. I talked to Frank Tate. I talked to Roy Jones. I talked to Parnell before he died. I talked to Mark Greeland. I talked to Myron and Medrick Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And none of these guys wants to be an official. How great they was in the amateurs and in the pros, but I can't get in. They like, I wouldn't. You telling me no, I ain't doing that. So
well, I'll tell you this, Twan, what I need you to do. Hey, Twan, what I need you to do, dear brother. I got a gym. I'm opening up a brand new gym. You got to come and take a look and see what we're doing. We're doing major stuff, dear brother. And
I ain't got no problem coming to see you, come to your gym, man. I thought I was gonna see you at Savior Day, but I was there.
I was there for sure.
Oh,
I was right up there with the minister. I was with the minister the whole weekend.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's why I probably didn't see you.
Yes, sir. I was right there, right up front.
Well, we appreciate you calling in.
All right. Thank you very much for accepting my phone call and that nobody came on and put me on hold and hung up on me at the same time.
Listen, Twan, you got my number, man. Call me, bro.
Will do.
All right, dear brother.
All right. Have a good day, you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting, man. So it's you know what, and a lot of the guys that you named, I went back and actually learned about them.
Okay.
Because you can't be successful in boxing here in Detroit unless you learn about Benny Ray Truso. I stayed across the street. I stayed across the street from the Monk. I stayed across the street from Rick Jester. So,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to learn about the Johnson brothers.
There you go.
I wanted to learn about them and how Darnell Seals, all of them did. Because I came up under them. I didn't come up under them fighting, but I came up under them coaching.
Yeah, yes, sir.
They taught me the ropes, how to coach, and And it's important that a lot of guys don't even know Milton McCurry was the first Detroit champion ever.
Yeah. See, people think it was Hill McKenty. He was from Columbus, Ohio.
Right.
He was Crunk's first champion, but he wasn't originally from Detroit.
Okay.
You know, Tommy was our second world champion. But when we take a look at Milton McCoy, we take a look at Jimmy Paul, we take a look at DeJuan Thomas, you know, these are world champions that come up out of the city of Detroit. You know, Leonzo Barber. And then when we talk about fighters who fought for a championship, Caveman Lee, even though he got crushed, you know, Caveman Lee, these are guys who actually fought for titles. DeJuan Johnson, who fought for titles. So when we talk about those who got titles and those who fought for titles, we got an extensive list, which shows you that Detroit has been a mecca for boxing for years. I mean, you know, you go, okay, well, you go back to Joe Louis, right? Even though Joe Louis is not originally from Detroit, the reason, but what people don't know is that Sugar Ray Robinson is really from Detroit.
Right.
But because when Joe Louis came to the city of Detroit, Joe Louis said Detroit is not big enough for the both of us, so he ended up going to New York.
Carly, you on the air? Carly, what's up? Carly, you on the air? Carly, you on the air?
Hey, Corey.
Hey, what's up, Bill?
How are you, sir?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Coach Mohammed?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I apologize that I'm not there. I had knee replacement surgery 3 weeks ago.
We wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you. So you were talking lately about the dietitian and things of like wearing the rubber suits or everything else.
Mm-hmm.
As a coach myself, I'm not a big fan of them, of the sweatsuits, because it doesn't, not just the brain function, but it also decreases bone marrow in their
Absolutely.
bodies.
Yep, that's right.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I believe for the first 20 minutes that you are doing your warm-up, no problem. Then take it off.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm also a believer that I like nutritionists myself. And to bring a third party in, how do you feel about bringing a third party nutritionist in?
I'm all for it, because remember, we have to move into modern time. You know, what people don't know is that Emmanuel was a scientist when it came to food. Emmanuel would be the one cooking for us to get us ready for, because see, if you don't know what carbohydrates do, if you don't know what protein does to the body and for the body, then you'll just be feeding your fighter junk food. You want to feed your fighter the foods that are going to burn and give him energy, or give her energy, because a lot of women are boxing now, that are going to give them energy and sustainable energy. Because if you're fighting 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 12 rounds, then your body is going through these transformations, and what you don't realize is that you need to have the energy to burn, and if you haven't put that energy in the body, then that body's going to start eating up things from the nature. You'll find that your body starts taking protein from the muscle.
Yeah.
It'll start eating the muscle. You know, so at the end of the day, you know, I'm all for bringing nutritionists in, you know, because again, we gotta stay students. We gotta stay being a student. Yes, sir.
So quick question, because we only got a little bit more time here. Thank you for calling in, Bill.
All right. Have a blessed evening, guys. I'll talk to you.
You too.
So before we get out of here, where can they find Mouchettee Mohammed?
Please, you can hit me on platforms, Mouchettee Mohammed. You can hit me on my Mouchettee Mohammed, Mouchettee Mohammed, Muhammad. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You want to email me, machete45@gmail.
All right, there y'all go. We got one more caller, but unfortunately, it's almost time for us to get out of here. We can answer one more call. That's it. One more call. Call you on the air. Call you on the air. Call you on the air.
Coach Mouchettee,
Yes.
this is Jackie Black.
How you feel, beloved?
The biggest drug dealer in the world.
How you doing, fam?
Oh, man, I'm doing the best I can what I got, brother. It's a beautiful thing to hear your voice.
Wonderful. It's a blessing, and we all should be humble just to listen to you, such an educated brother. I love it. Keep up the good work.
I will, brother. I'm going to keep striving. I appreciate that.
Hey, with the state of boxing pro-wise in Michigan, how do we fix it?
Well, first of all, we got to get people who are sincere and stop being money hungry. You got a bunch of whores out here, and I hate to put it that way. They prostitutes, man. They whores for money. If we can get people who are sincere, then maybe we can start putting that sincerity into the amateur program, and out of that we can grow some great future pros and future champions.
All right.
Wonderful. Now, what do you think about an educational program for some of these gyms that are producing these pro boxers, where they learn what promoters' job actually is, what a manager's job actually functions actually are? Where can they go to get this type of information?
You know, it's interesting, beloved. I think what would be good, and I know we're pressed for time, but I think what would be good is if we start setting up a program that would teach. You know what? Maybe me and you could get together, brother, and we can do it at my gym. We can set a program up, and we can start teaching people who are interested in growing the sport of boxing and the business of boxing in the city of Detroit.
2024, we'll get it done. Good talking to you. Love you.
Love you more, brother.
All right. All right, y'all. There y'all have it, man. Thank you, Mr. Mouchettee Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
FM 88.1 WHBR. This is the Rerun Detroit Boxing Show. Come on every Thursday from 7 to 8. Man, make sure y'all go to his gym, man, Michigan and Wyoming. You can hit him up on Facebook, man. His gym is open. It's beautiful. I seen bits and pieces of it. And most important thing, people, don't be afraid for help, wellness help.
That's right.
Go get help. Please.
That's right.
Do not. It's free. Only thing you got to pay for is gas to get there.
That's it.
So,
That's it.
So make sure y'all reach out to this gentleman, man. He's very knowledgeable, and I appreciate you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother, for having me.
All right, now this is FM 88.1. We run Detroit. See y'all later. Peace.